Well, here we are. The Dallas Cowboys have won a game that not many thought they were going to win, but I thought they were going to win. I said the score was going to be 24-13. I didn't figure in the fact that Cavante Turpin was going to return a punt for a touchdown, but it's not like it's an exact science. But I just figured the Cowboys were a lot better than most people think they are. And while some people are saying the Cowboys were more talented last year, I think their team is better this year. So here we go this week. Now we got the Saints coming to Dallas. And I'm going to give you 10 reasons why I believe the Dallas Cowboys are going to beat the New Orleans Saints. Let's talk, Cowboys. We're about to talk facts. Welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Let's talk facts. So last week, we found ourselves winning a game on the road that no one thought we could win. 2.5 points underdogs. And it's amazing how people were, in the power rankings, they actually had the Cleveland Browns at number 9 because of that defense, playoff team last year. Deshaun Watson back from shoulder surgery, fully healthy. There's no way the Cowboys can beat them because the Cowboys had 9 All-Pros on the team last year, and they were a way better team. It's amazing how 1 week changes everyone's outlook on the team. All of a sudden, Deshaun Watson is done. All of a sudden, they got to get out of his contract. All of a sudden, the defense isn't as good as everyone thought it was. All of a sudden. And the Cowboys catapult all the way, if I'm not mistaken, into the top 10 in the power rankings. It's amazing what one game does. But one game doesn't prove anything. I actually expected the Cowboys to beat the Browns because I just think the Cowboys are better than the Browns. And people can say what they want to say. Dak Prescott's way better than Deshaun Watson. Dak Prescott, I don't care what anyone says. He's a top 5 quarterback. And he's going to prove it this year. He's got a lot to prove. Highest paid quarterback in the league. Highest paid player in the NFL. And so Dak Prescott has a lot to prove. But I think this is going to be the season that Dak's going to make steps. And I see this team, again, going into the playoffs, and I think they're going to win this time. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The New Orleans Saints, they pose an interesting challenge for the Cowboys. This is another test because we really want to see where the Cowboys are. I mean, the last time we saw them in Dallas, they got spanked by the Green Bay Packers because they could neither run the ball nor stop the run. And so I think there are 10 things to look for in order for the Cowboys to win this game. And I've already been talking about it a little bit, so let's get into number 1. Key thing for the Cowboys to win this game, it's Dak Prescott. Every single week, I don't care how good this defense is, every single week, it's going to be about Dak Prescott. Because Dak Prescott is the undisputed, unequivocal leader of this team. I don't care how good the defense is. I don't care how good Micah Parsons is. People can say what they want to say. This season is all about Dak Prescott. And I believe these players know it. I believe the players are going to play in a way this year that they want to prove that Dak Prescott is who they know he is and who some of us say he is and who Dak says he is. I think this team is going to go all out for Dak Prescott every single week. So this game is going to be all about Dak Prescott. I think we're going to see Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. They're going to try to make an even better connection this week. I think Mike McCarthy, he's going to start easing them in. Because if you look at what they did last year, as a matter of fact, it's like they didn't take off to around game number 4. And they took off. And we might see the same thing this year because looking at their schedule, they got the Giants on there on Thursday night, and they're going to eat when it comes to the New York Giants. So I think what we're going to see in this game against the New Orleans Saints, we're going to see Dak and CeeDee Lamb continue to work and try to get more on the same page. Because Dak said in a press conference, and I'm going to react to that video later on today, Dak said in the press conference that they left a lot of meat on the bone. Oh, they did. I mean, Dak and CD didn't get to play together all training camp, so they got to get that connection back. So Dak Prescott is going to be one of the keys in this game to them winning. He's going to be the major cog in this whole machine for the Cowboys to win this game. I'm looking forward. I think Dak Prescott last week, I think he threw for 179 yards. I expect Dak Prescott to be 250, 300 this week. At least 3 touchdowns, I would assume. And the reason why I'm saying that is, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this in the bonus area, but Lattimore, the big paid cornerback the Saints paid, doesn't like he's going to play again. He's got hamstring issues on top of other, I think, bodily ailments. So I think there's a good chance he doesn't play. And even if he does, how good will he be? Them hamstring injuries are tricky. So how good will he be, playing this week? So I think Dak Prescott's going to have a big week. So my key takeaway, number 1, keys to winning this game, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, they got to hook up. Number 2, second week in a row. I'm going to move this up. Last week, I think I had it around 3 or 4. I'm going to move it up this week. Guyton and Beebe, once again, they got a monster test. This New Orleans Saints defensive line, they rush 5. They don't have to blitz to get to the quarterback. And so they got guys that can get to the quarterback. So what is this line going to look like? Again, this is only going to be their second week playing. We got a rookie center, rookie left guard. So what is it going to look like? A rookie left tackle, I think it is. So what is it going to look like? Guyton, once again, he's going to be tested. But I think if you can go up against Myles Garrett and he didn't come out unscathed because they almost had a strip sack fumble touchdown because Myles Garrett with all that speed and power got past him. So we'll see this week. We'll see this week again. He's going to be tested. But I think Myles Garrett really gave him something that he needed going forward into the season. I mean, what better way to start than to start your first game against the NFL Defensive Player of the Year? So Dallas's offensive line is another key to winning this game. Can they win the battle up front with 2 rookies? It's going to be a tall task. And so we got to keep our eye out for that. The third thing, they're saying that Jake Ferguson may play. Now, I don't run the team, but if it was me, I would let Jake Ferguson sit out this week because I think the Cowboys can beat the Saints without Ferguson. And I think it's about time for, I think his name is Luke Schoonmaker, Schoonmaker or something like that. Luke Schoonmaker, the tight end, that I think it was a 3rd-round draft pick or a 2nd-round draft pick. I mean, make sure on this. Okay, we spent a 2nd-round draft pick on Luke Schoonmaker. It's time we need to see what he is. We really do. I mean, he's a 2nd-round draft pick. What is he? He's the very reason why you let go of the other tight end and traded him to Kansas City. What does he look like? Is he a legitimate number 2 tight end? And at this point, we don't know because he can't stay healthy. Well, Ferguson's hurt. So if I was the Dallas Cowboys, I would let Ferguson sit down, let that knee get another week better, and really save him for the Baltimore Ravens. And we need to see what Schoonmaker is all about. What is he all about? He needs to make the next step. And this game against the Saints, Tyrann Mathieu, I think he's a little banged up, even though he did practice this week. Man, we got to let this dude see. We got to see what this dude is about. So, number 3, I have, if Ferguson doesn't play, and even if Ferguson does play, I don't think he's going to play as many snaps as he played last week. Schoonmaker, we need to see what he is. And I think that's going to be a major issue. So I'm putting that at number 3 things to watch. I have here number 4. Cowboys have a 16-game winning streak at home in the regular season. There's a story here. How will losing in the playoffs and getting spanked by Green Bay, how will that affect them in this game? I mean, what will their psyche, what will their psyche be like? I mean, I know the crowd is going to be fired up because we went to Cleveland with 1-0, and you know, every time the Cowboys win, a lot of the fans thinking we're going to the Super Bowl, especially beating a team like Cleveland, at least how they were projected before we beat them. So the issue becomes, how will they look? This is the first time we've seen them back in Dallas since that playoff game, and the last time we saw them in Dallas, they got spanked on their own turf. So I'm really interested to see, because I think the adrenaline will be high. I think they'll have a lot to prove. So I want to see, what is this going to look like? How are they going to look? How are they going to make a stand again and be the best home team in the NFL? Will they win all of their home games again? So this is going to be something to watch for. Key thing number 5, takeaway number 5. Can they continue to build the running game? Last week, Zeke was 10 carries, 40 yards, touchdown. But Zeke was actually doing some work if people pay attention. Zeke was doing chipping out of the backfield, helping on helping in pass protection. He caught a great pass out of the backfield. I mean, Zeke looked extremely fresh. I'm still waiting on them to bring Dalvin Cook up, because I think that Dalvin Cook can be that 1-2 punch, or even the 1-2-3 punch, or the 1-2 punch and a uppercut. I think he can help us with that, because I'm really concerned about Deuce Vaughn. I'm really concerned because it seems to me he's struggling, trying to, and I don't know if he's struggling as much as we may not be using him right. I just don't think he's a between the tackles runner. I mean, he had one run last week for about 4 or 5 yards, and they ran him between the tackles. I don't think he can run between the tackles in the NFL with the line at its current state. And I think he would be better suited in screen game, maybe in the sweeps. Maybe you can get him on a couple of end arounds. You're going to have to really figure out how to use his speed, his agility, and his moves. But as far as a pure running back, I just don't know how you're going to work him in the committee. I really don't know how you're going to do that. So I'm really interested to see Dalvin Cook get moved up. But in the meanwhile, I was very pleased with what I saw with Ezekiel Elliott. And I want to continue to see if Zeke can up that production. Okay, let's get him 15 carries. And can he get us 60 or 70 yards? Let's see what Rico Dowdle does. I still don't know what Rico Dowdle can do. I mean, I don't think Rico necessarily had a great game last week. I want to see more. I think he was like 8 for 26. Let's check real quick. So when we look at the stats, Rico Dowdle is what I thought. He was 8 for 26. He was 3.2 yards per carry. Zeke was 10 yards, but he was 4.0 yards a carry, which I just think that was good. I mean, if you can get 4 yards a carry out of Zeke, I mean, that's great. And 1 TD, I don't care what anyone says. If Zeke's going to do this all year, I'll take it. If Zeke's going to get us 10 for 40 and a touchdown, helping on pass protection, catching out of the backfield, getting us good yards on the ground, being a short yardage specialist, he's got a nose for the end zone, a nose for 1 and 2 yard runs, I'll take it every day of the week. Every day of the week. I would like to see him up his production a little bit more, maybe get in that 60 to 70 yard range, maybe on about 10 to 15 carries. I love it. Rico Dowdle, he got 8 of those. He was 26 yards. I really would like to see Rico Dowdle take another step. And so what I mean is that's why this is a major key. Can the running game continue to evolve? I think we're going to see CeeDee Lamb. He's going to continue to be a part of that running game. He was 3 for 25. Brandon Cooks, they tried to get him in, and everybody they're all trying to get in. And I just think that the Cowboys, we got to keep evolving this running game, and we have to keep working on it so we can see what we really have, so that by the time it comes to the trade deadline, now that they got cap space, they got more cap space doing CD, Dak, and they reworked, I forget the lineman's name. We reworked his contract. So the Cowboys got money under the cap. So we need to see where we are by mid-season, so that if we're going to make that push and there's a good running back out there, we can get them. But I really think we can keep evolving this running game, and this is going to be another test, especially against the line of the Saints. Because when you look at the top defenses, look who's there. The Saints. Now we're number 5, so we're top 5 defense. But I'm not going to jump to conclusions about the defense right now. We need to see more from the defense. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But I'm not as concerned with the New Orleans Saints being number 2. They played the Carolina Panthers. Excuse me. They played the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers are atrocious. I mean, they are literally atrocious. I mean, for them to even score 10 points on the Saints is amazing to me. I don't even understand how they got that. But to be ranked number 2 after going against the Saints, to me, that's nothing. That's nothing. This week is going to tell us where the Saints are and the Cowboys are. Because the Cowboys, whether people accept it or not, high-powered offense. High-powered offense. They got Dak Prescott. I mean, just look at his stats year after year after year. I mean, he's always in the top 5 in all of the numbers. So the Cowboys are going to give us a better barometer of where they are. And I won't be surprised if the Cowboys put up 4 or 5 touchdowns on them. So I don't think they'll be number 2 after the Cowboys are. I don't think they'll be number 2 after the Cowboys are done with it. I really don't. I think the Cowboys are going to put up some touchdowns on them. So that's another one of my keys is we got to keep building this running game. We have to. We have to keep building this running game. And so it's going to kind of move me to the other side of the ball. And so takeaway number 6. The Saints have a pretty good running game themselves. And they're led by a young man by the name of Alvin Kamara. Kamara's pretty good. Pretty good. And when you look at, let's look at the game. They had 180 yards rushing last week. And again, it's against the Carolina Panthers. But we don't want to take that lightly because I think every single week, this is going to be a topic. Can Mike Zimmer stop the run? Will he stop the run consistently for the Dallas Cowboys this year? Because that was their Achilles heel. And the last time we saw him in Dallas, they couldn't stop the run. They got ran all over, up and down the field. So the Saints, they have a pretty good running game. A pretty good running game. Let's look at some of their stats from last week. So let's look at what they did last week. Let me blow this up a little bit. Let's look at what they did last week. So Alvin Kamara, 15 for 83, 5.5 yards per carry. He still got a little juice in the tank, 1 touchdown. So this is going to be a test. They got a guy named Jamal Williams. He was 11 for 38, 3.5. Taysom Hill, they're going to have to watch him. He's a major issue. They're going to have to watch Taysom Hill, 5 for 35, 7 yards per carry. He comes in on these third downs. He's a gadget guy, but he's a tough runner. Big guy, he's a big guy, supposed to be the backup quarterback, but he's really a jack of all trades, So when you look at those 3, can they stop them? Will they be able to stop them? So Mike Zimmer, Mike Zimmer, you did it last week. And he's going to be the subject. He's going to be the topic every single week, because the better the defense plays, the more comfortable you're going to see Dak Prescott play. Because if I got a defense that can stop people, it's not that I can play a lot more loose, but I can play a lot more confident, as in, okay, if I make a mistake, now I got a defense that'll keep me, they'll keep me in the game. So I can do some things now. And so can they stop the run? Can they stop the run? This is going to be a theme going forward. Number 5 was, can they run the ball? Number 6, can they stop the run? So the Saints had 180 yards on the ground. 180 yards on the ground. Let that sink in. Saints had 180 yards. Don't think they're going to do that against Zimmer, but we're going to see, because one of the things they do, because they have some speed on the outside, I think his name is Rashid Shaheed. They have some speed on the outside. And so you look at what they did last week, did a lot of play action. Play action don't work unless you can run the ball. And so the Saints were able to run the ball. And so they were able to really do a number on Carolina, who I think Carolina's, I think they've already given up. If you look at some of the plays and some of the plays that Derek Carr was able to make, you could clearly see the Carolina Panthers, some of the players just standing around. I mean, so I think it'll be different against the Cowboys, but nevertheless, people seem to always get up for these Cowboy games because they know they're going to be well televised. You know, everyone's watching. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the game of the week again. And even if it's not, it is mostly for a lot of people. So it's going to be a big deal. So the Saints, they're going to get up for the Cowboys. And if I'm the Saints, I'm going to test them. Can you run the ball? And so that's going to be that's my takeaway number 6. Takeaway number 7, Micah Parsons and Overshown. Micah Parsons is literally going to eat this football season because he now has a linebacker core. He got a serious linebacker core. DeMarcus Lawrence, did you notice what happened to him last week? 2 sacks. He's going to eat. Because how do you block all these people? How do you block all of them? The Cowboys are getting to the point, whether people realize it or not. Mike Zimmer is not like Dan Quinn. He's not a heavy blitzer. I love it. To me, Dan Quinn, I think he's a defensive genius when he's got the pieces. When he has the pieces. People got to understand that, yeah, people say he's the architect of the Legion of Boom. Oh, did you see the players he had? He didn't pick those players. They gave him, when you look at that Seahawk defense, for about 3 years, man, short of the Ravens with Ray Lewis, there was nothing better. And their secondary was crazy. And so Jerry, I'll give him credit. He has really went and got Zimmer the pieces that he needs. He got him linebackers. We got Kendricks, we got Overshown. And so you put that with Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is going to eat. So that's the thing to watch on this defense again. Can they stop the run? And where I'm saying stop the run, can they stop the run up front? And if it gets past them up front, we know the linebacker core can take care of it. But number 2, Micah Parsons is going to eat. On pass downs, on passing downs, Derek Carr, he's going to be running for his life just like Deshaun Watson. And he's nowhere near as fast as Deshaun Watson. And one thing we know about Derek Carr, he'll turn that ball over. Derek Carr is going to give you 2 opportunities per game. I've said this about him for years before I even started talking on YouTube. Derek Carr going to give you 2 opportunities per game to get an interception. So Micah Parsons going to eat. And if Micah Parsons eat, It's going to be no problem. This is going to be a walk in the park for the Dallas Cowboys. But that's number 7. Key number 8, takeaway number 8, things to watch. Calean Carson held his own last week. He held his own last week. Got another test this week. Saints, what's his name again? This kid, Rashid Shaheed. They got some guys on the outside. They have some guys on the outside. And depending upon how well can they run the ball and their play action, Calean Carson is going to have his hands full. He's going to have his hands full again. These Cowboys, these rookies that they got in these major positions, they're going to get battle tested this season. Calean Carson, again, he was great last week. Can he do it again this week? Well, because if I'm the Saints, I'm coming right at him. I'm going to do a better job than the Browns did. I'm going to come at him. I'm going to run the ball, see if I can. And the thing about the Cowboys, they're not going to be blitzing to get to the quarterback, but nevertheless, I want to keep them on their heels to know we're going to commit to the run. And when we get you cheating, coming up a little bit more to try to stop the running back, then we're going to test Calean Carson. Trayvon Diggs, he looked all the way back. So no problem with him. Safeties look good as good can look. Calean Carson was awesome. Can he have another great performance again this week? Big stage, Dallas, going to be a little bit different. So very interested to see. That's going to be another key thing for the Cowboys to win and another thing to watch. Number 9, penalties. Clock management. This all goes together. Can Mike McCarthy find a way to get these guys disciplined? Can he find a way? Let's look at the stats here. So when we look at the stats, the Cowboys, and let's take a look at this. The Cowboys, 85 yards in penalties. 11 penalties, 85 yards. They were one of the most penalized teams in football last year. They have got to get a hold on this because they're either giving the other team another opportunity or they're taking opportunities from themselves. Brandon Aubrey made a field goal early in that game, but it got called back because of a penalty. And so it pushed them back 5 yards, and they didn't want to go for the 71-yarder. I wish they would have, but they got to do something with the penalties because the Dallas Cowboys was sputtering. And I think this had something to do with even when you think about their third down efficiency. They were 4 for 14 on third downs. It's crazy. All of this plays into penalties and clock management because when you commit penalties, the clock is stopped. So we got to be able to manage these games better so we can make third downs. And I didn't say this was a major issue, but it is. Looking at how they did last week, the third down efficiency was terrible when they were one of the best teams in the league last year. So third down efficiency down. That's poor clock management. Penalties, that's poor clock management. So in order to beat teams, especially when you start talking about playoff type teams or you're wanting to go far in the playoffs, you got to get disciplined. You have to get disciplined. And so I'm wondering, can the Cowboys work on their discipline? Can they work on their discipline? Cut down the penalties. Don't give the other team opportunities because the Saints will be fired up. There'll be a lot of Saint fans in the building. New Orleans, where they are, is not that far from Dallas for at least for people, how they feel about traveling. They're going to be fired up. Clock management, discipline, all of these things are going to be important. So that's going to be takeaway number 9. So this brings us to our final key. Things to look for. Keys to the Cowboys winning this game. If you don't know by now, the Cowboys have a great special teams. They're going to be tested this week because we're going to see how do they cover the punts and the kicks. Because I'm telling you, the Saints have some speed on special teams. So we're going to get to see that side of it this week, which they did very well last week. So we're going to see how they do this week. But where I'm most excited about this Cowboys team, and I know, and I shouldn't say most excited, but I'm extremely excited. Kickoff returns, punt returns, and field goals. Brandon Aubrey can kick it from the parking lot. He can kick it from the parking lot. He is going to help this Cowboy team win and stay in a lot of football games. He just is. He's accurate and he's got the distance. So I'm just so confident when having this guy on this team. I mean, you think about what Dak Prescott, he's got some things going this year if these things all come to fruition. The running game looked good enough. I hope it ramps up this week. The defense, stellar. The Cowboys are top 5, and I think they're going to stay there even after this Saints game. He's got special teams. Devontae Turpin got him a punt return. I think with this new, I guess they're calling it dynamic kickoff, whatever they're calling it. Mark my words. He's going to get him a couple on that too. Almost broke one last week. Going to get him a couple on that this year too, if not more. So the Cowboys special teams is special, and they are going to really keep the Cowboys in games, probably win some games because they are that good. And so for me, that's going to be one of the 10 keys or the 10th key. The Cowboys in this whole issue of special teams. It's special, and again, I know it's redundant, but I think they're going to eat. I think they're going to do a lot of good things. And so, bonus, I want us to look at the injury report. Okay, this is courtesy of Saints Wire. And so when we look at this whole issue that I'm talking about, the Saints got some major issues, 2 of them in particular. Marshon Lattimore, that's a serious issue. Marshon Lattimore, ever since they gave him that contract, he's been doing nothing but battling injuries. The coach don't want to talk about it a whole lot, but he's dealing with a hamstring. I think it's a good chance he doesn't play, and if he does, he's probably not going to be 100%. Tyrann Mathieu, he's dealing with a heel issue, but I think he's going to play. But when you look at, in particular, their tackle, this is the one that the concern is about. Talise Fuaga, I think his name is. He's got a back issue, and he did not practice. So he may not be playing against the Cowboys. They have some other issues going on too. But those 2 right there are the ones that really stand out to me, because I think everyone else, it looks like Nick Salveri, he's dealing with a calf issue, but I wouldn't be surprised if he plays. But I think Marshon Lattimore and I think Fuaga is going to be a scratch. And so, boy, Dak is going to eat. Dak is going to eat, and Micah Parsons is going to eat, especially if that line can hold up the way it did last week. Cowboys, we see Marshawn Nealon, from what I'm understanding, is saying he got a calf injury, but they're saying he may play. And I don't know a lot about this. I just heard somebody talking about the upper calf and the lower calf, and he got an upper calf issue. And so upper calf issues are easy to deal with, so they're saying he might play. And then, of course, they're talking about Jake Ferguson. They're saying he's going to play. I'm pretty sure it sounds like he's trying to push himself to play, but I would just hope that the Cowboys realize they can probably win this game without Ferguson. And I would let him sit down another week, because if he can play this week, well, then surely he'll be able to play next week full speed when they go against the Baltimore Ravens, and we'll be talking about them going against the Baltimore Ravens. So those are the 10 keys for me. The 10 keys for the Cowboys to win. And I do think they're going to win, and I think they're going to win big again. I think the Cowboys are going to win this game somewhere around 34-13, 34-17. I just think that there's no way. If they got 30 last week with what they did just based on the first half, I think they're going to put together, or they're going to get closer to putting together a complete game. They're going to put together a complete game. And I think they're going to knock off the New Orleans Saints at home, and they're going to march right into Baltimore 2-0. And we're going to get the first major test for the Dallas Cowboys. The runner-up MVP going against the two-time MVP. Oh, man, cannot wait to talk about that game coming next week. But first, one game at a time. But that's going to do it for me. That's my time. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell so that you'll know the next time I post a video, and you can share these videos with others. And until the next time, God bless you. God keep you. Let's talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Peace.